why is this newsworthy? Why should we cover it now? And why does our audience care?
Right.
And you're going to think, oh yeah, but if I make it like that, then it's not going to be promotional towards me. Yes, it will. You'll still get quoted. You'll still get that backlink. But if you're looking for something to be all about you, then good luck to you, honey, because it usually doesn't happen like that. Very rarely.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Mom Does It All. If you're looking for encouragement, empowerment, and uplifting in motherhood and mompreneurship, this is the show for you. I'm your host, Marta Spurk, triplet mom, certified success coach, and all things motivation extraordinaire. In this episode, I talk to reporter and anchor, TV host, and marketing agency owner, Christina Nicholson. She just dropped so many truth bombs about changing your money mindset to succeed in business, hiring an expert to help you advance, not feel guilty about having someone take care of your kids so you can work, and of course, how to turn publicity into profit. Get ready to be mind blown.
Hi, Christina. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me, Marta. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I'm excited to learn about your story. So you've worked in the media for years, even before you became a mom, and the name of your business is The Media Maven, which I love. So can you tell us more about your background, how it all began, and where you are right now?
Yeah. So my background is actually in journalism. I went to school for journalism and I was a TV reporter and anchor for about 10 years.
Wow.
And while I was doing that, I was moving all around the country because that's kind of how you work your way up in the industry. You start in small markets and then you work up to bigger markets. And I ended up having a couple of kids while I was working at my last station, which was the NBC station in Miami. And my husband is in the golf industry, so his hours are very unconventional. TV news hours are very unconventional.
Right.
My family's in Ohio, his family's in Canada. So it makes taking care of kids hard.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I needed a flexible schedule. So I thought, okay, well, in news, I get pitched all day, every day by publicists and people at PR agencies and business owners who are looking for media exposure. And a lot of their times the pitches are just terrible. Like it's just very clear these people have no idea how the media industry works. So I thought, okay, well, I am deleting most of these pitches all day, every day. So why don't I just go work at a PR agency and, teach them how to pitch the media?
Right.
So I worked at an agency for 6 months and I did not like the corporateness, I guess you could say, of working at an agency. I mean, I feel like more attention is paid on what time you walk in the door and how long you sit at your desk and when you leave than what you're actually doing. And I just thought that was really stupid for somebody who has a good work ethic. Like, don't babysit me. I don't need to be babysat. I know how to do my job and give clients good results. So after 6 months, I kind of had, I don't want to say I had a little freak out, but I don't really have a filter on my mouth. So I let So I kind of let my boss know what I thought about him and the way he ran his business. And so after that, I said, in the meantime, while I was at this agency, I was looking for other jobs and I was looking for somebody to let me work remotely because I live in South Florida. It just doesn't make sense for me to commute 2 hours a day to sit in front of a computer when I have a computer and Wi-Fi at home. So after I let my boss know what I thought of him, I gave my 2 weeks notice. And then after a week, I guess he cut my 2 weeks notice short. So I don't know if that means I quit or I was fired. Either way, I was out of a job. So it was time for me to just be my own boss. And I said, you know what, this is the service business. I don't need a bunch of money. I have my expertise. So I went into it saying, I'm going to be a professional freelancer and I just want to maintain my lifestyle and make the same amount of money that I made. And then I started, this was when I had a different money mindset. And I feel like a lot of new business owners, they have a money mindset where it's more a poverty mindset. Like you don't think there's enough money and you don't understand investing in your business. You're afraid to do it. So I was working like 12 hours a day. Some months I'd make $1,000. Some months I'd make $11,000. It was very up and down. And it wasn't until I invested money that I did not have It wasn't until I invested money in a business coach and started building my team that now I am not a professional freelancer anymore. I have an agency with a team. I have a few different streams of revenue, and I am definitely working less with less stress and making more money than I ever have.
Nice. Oh, that's a wonderful story. I love that so much. And I like that you point out that it wasn't just rainbows and butterflies throughout the way. You had to figure it out. And just like what you said, change your mindset, which I love. And I totally want you to talk more about that. But just the fact that you were on TV for so long, how many years was it?
It was about 10, and I still am. I still am on TV on a freelance basis. I do some local TV hosting. I do some national TV hosting for Lifetime TV. Okay. So I still do it, but I do it on a freelance basis. It's not all day, every day for a boss. Yeah. And that's what makes it
awesome. And so, and do you miss it, or do you totally love the coaching side of things that with what you're doing right now, helping other entrepreneurs?
I don't miss doing it full time because I was in local TV news. And if you watch the local TV news, then you know that a lot of it's like sad, depressing crime, because unfortunately that's what people watch. I mean, people complain that that's what's on TV, but we cover that because that's what gets ratings. That's what people watch.
That makes sense.
So I don't miss that. And that's why I still do some of the freelance stuff, because I still get my TV fix.
Right.
And I think it's very good for me to do that, because I feel like there's a lot of people, not just in the agency space, but in the online space, and they think they're publicists or they're acting as publicists because maybe they got lucky and they earned themselves coverage in a couple of places. Maybe they know certain people, but I'm one of the very few people that actually practices what I preach. If I'm telling you that I can get you on TV, then I should be on TV. If I'm telling you I can get you on podcasts, then I should be on podcasts.
Right.
So I think that's why it's important for me to be on both sides of the media.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. And I love it too. That's so cool. I love it. How old are your kids?
My daughter is 7 and my son is 4.
Oh, nice. And I bet with the business that you have right now, it's a lot easier for you to be around and do all that. Can you tell us more about balancing everything with motherhood and how you build a business with little kids?
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't say it's balancing. It's just doing what you have to do. Like I think I'm maybe one of the very few people that never felt mom guilt. Like even when I was in news, my kids were in daycare when they were 9, 10 weeks old. And I never felt guilt about that because I had to work, and daycare's not a bad place.
Right.
They're 7 and 4 now, and they are very social. They're very friendly. They enjoyed daycare. I mean, there were times when I would go to pick them up and they didn't want to leave. They didn't want to come home with me. They wanted to stay there with their friends. So, and people, I mean, you hear moms say and people would say terrible things to me about having kids just to put them in daycare. But it's like, okay, but I have to work and you can't work. I mean, I remember when I started my own business, they're like, oh, are you going to do that so you can spend more time with the kids? And I'm like, no, how can you work and make money and spend more time with the kids? Like, no, they're still going to go to daycare because I need to work. Like you cannot make a full-time income working 2 hours a day, starting out especially. And you cannot work from home with your kids at home, or else you're either going to get no work done or totally ignore them all day, which is not nice either.
No. Oh, and I love that you say that so much, because I see lots of people online, lots of moms that are their own bosses, painting this picture on their stories. Oh my gosh, I'm just watching them play while I work. And it's like, that wouldn't work for me. I mean, depending on the age, right? But most times your kids are just going to be jumping around, screaming, wanting to touch the computer, wanting to, draw with your stuff. And it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work at all.
Yeah, no, I love that you're being real about that, because that's one of the things that I feel like lots of women decide to stay home because they see this dream of, oh my gosh, I'm going to get to be around my kids and make money. But it's not really like that. And then they feel the guilt, right? Too, just like what you're saying.
Yeah. And I honestly, I never really felt the guilt. I will say this is the part that is the best part of it. Like, no, you don't necessarily get to spend more time with your kids, but my son at Halloween, he had a trunk or treat thing. I could decide to to not work on Friday between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. and volunteer and have my car there. And then they could do the trunk or treat and I could see them. I could, like my kids have gymnastics and karate and I can leave my house at 3:30 to pick them up and take them there. And that's really why I was looking for a remote job, not looking to start my own business, because it's like, as long as I'm getting the work done and I'm doing a good job, what do you care if I take a break between 3:30 and 4:30? It doesn't matter because I can finish stuff up at night or I can work more productively in the day because I'm saving myself 2 hours of commute time. So that was really it. I mean, it wasn't necessarily to keep the kids home while I worked because that doesn't work. It was to take time off and work when I want from where I want.
Right. Yeah. The flexibility, not necessarily that you're going to be around the kids and just like what we were saying, but the flexibility of if something happens and I need to go pick up my kid early, it's not the end of the world. I don't have a boss to report to.
Exactly. And I remember so many times when I would ask to leave early, or I would say, I have to, be at daycare by 6 to get my kids because my husband's working late. And the attitude that I would get from my bosses was just terrible. And it was like, oh my gosh, really? Like I bust my ass for you every day and you're going to make an issue about me leaving work 30 minutes early?
Oh
like,
gosh.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Right. Yeah. So that just right there makes it all worth it. And so I do want you to talk more about the media side of things. And for anyone listening or for any other mom entrepreneurs listening, thinking, I want to be on TV. I want to, learn how to pitch myself better to podcasts and stuff. What are some of your top tips? And I don't know if you have any resources and stuff like that to help women that are starting out or they're wanting to do that after they have an established business or something like that.
My top tips if they're starting out or if they just started out and they have an established business. I think a big thing, and honestly, I didn't understand mindset until I was like in my business for a couple of years. Okay. There's a couple of books that really help with the money mindset because I think it holds a lot of people back.
Okay.
And that is Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Okay.
And The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind.
Nice.
I would definitely recommend those books because people starting out, they're so afraid to spend money because they're like, I don't know if I'm going to get it back. No, you don't know if you're going to get it back. But I can guarantee you that if you spend no money to invest in your business, to learn from somebody smarter than you, then you're not going to get anything back 100%.
Right.
And it took me a while to first invest in my business because one, everybody claims to be a business coach and everybody claims to be successful. So when I was choosing who to work with, I looked at 3 things. I looked at their success, I looked at their client's success, and I looked at their client retention rate. Okay. So if they're successful and their clients are successful and their clients are staying with them, then I'm going to hire them.
Right.
I definitely wanted to talk to people who were already around that person because honestly, like I spent the first 2 years of my business doing so much trial and error, and I wasted so much time doing what I thought I should do, what it looked like other people were doing, and it was working for them, but really you have no idea. So when you pay somebody and you say, look, you've already been here and done that. This is where I'm at now. This is where I want to be. Tell me what to do. Right. And you just do what they tell you to do. It's honestly the easiest thing in the world. And you have to pay for that. Right. I mean, it's just stupid to me that people have an opportunity. Like if you want to open up an Etsy store and you want to make custom shirts and there's somebody who is doing that and they're making $50,000 a month doing it and you're just starting, you would be a freaking idiot not to pay that person money and say, tell me how you did this. Honestly, but so many people, they're so afraid because like, oh, but what if it doesn't work? Right. Well, if it doesn't work, then you're probably not doing the work. So that's on you.
Right. Oh, yes. So, preach it, girlfriend.
That's my advice is to stop being because I mean, it's just money. You can make it again. But if you hire the right person and you do what you're told to do, then you're going to be successful. It's like watching Shark Tank or The Profit. Like, you know what I mean? Like you just invest in people who are smarter than you and then you'll grow your business.
It's a no-brainer.
Stop guessing. It's a no-brainer. And so I think, honestly, that's the biggest thing because if you just try to do it by yourself and you try to just like gather all the free content you can online, it's going to take you so much longer. and you don't know if this free content is tailored to you and your specific position or not. Like you got to talk to somebody.
Yes.
Because it just makes a world of difference. And I think that's my biggest regret in business is having a poor money mindset my first couple of years, because I could be a lot further along. I mean, I'm happy where I'm at now, but I could have not been working 12-hour days, 7 days a week, super stressed out and in a bad mood for the first 2 years of running my business.
Oh, I just love how honest you are, because so many people paint this picture of, oh, it's okay, I'm just learning and blah, blah, blah. But I mean, there are hard times and it's really important to talk about them for others to learn from our mistakes, right? It's all learning experience anyways, but if you can share that with others, just like what you're doing, that helps so much. So thank you for that.
Yes.
And so I do want to know, because in the beginning you were saying, I got pitched all the time working on TV and I just deleted all of them because they were awful. What are some of the biggest no-nos that you can share with us to be like, okay, if you're doing this, please don't, because it's not helping?
Oh dear God. So many. Okay. I think the biggest problem that I would see is people just want to promote themselves. And it is not the media's job to give you a free commercial. If that's what you want, you're going to have to spend even more money on an advertisement that most people ignore, just because that's the way we consume content. If it's an ad, we ignore it because we know the person's paying to be there. It's not credible. You don't have any authority status at all. So when you pitch the media, stop thinking about promoting yourself, because it's called news for a reason. Why is it newsworthy? Like, why should we care? So you need to look at not your perspective of you trying to get publicity, but the journalist perspective. Why should they cover this? Why does their audience care? Like, why would this help them? Why should this be covered now? Because so many times people would send press releases, which, by the way, don't send press releases either. They're long and they're boring. Oh dear. They worked wonderfully in the 70s, but it's 2019. No, legit. I was watching the Ted Bundy tapes on Netflix the other day, and they were doing an interview with this police chief. This all happened in the 70s, right? So I'm watching an interview from the 70s, literally, and they're talking about how it's so hard to communicate with the other jurisdictions where these murders are happening because they can only use fax machines. And to let everybody know what's going on, they're sending out press releases. And I'm like, look, this is what they did in the 70s. And people still think that in 2019, this is what you do. After, like, we have the internet now. We have phones and emails. Like, stop the freaking long, boring press releases. A journalist's inbox has hundreds of emails a day. Why would they stop and read your long, boring press release that just has to do with you and your business and why you're great? Because that's not what they want. They want to know, why is this newsworthy? Why should we cover it now? And why does our audience care? And you're going to think, oh yeah, but if I make it like that, then it's not going to be promotional towards me. Yes, it will. You'll still get quoted. You'll still get that backlink. But if you're looking for something to be all about you, then good luck to you, honey, because it usually doesn't happen like that. Very rarely. I had a client come to me and they had a fitness app, a running app. And they said, look, we hired somebody. They sent press releases out. We didn't get anything. And I was like, okay, well, first of all, they're sending press releases out. So obviously they're not from the media, because that's a total PR publicist thing, because they've never been on the receiving end. So they don't know how much we hate press release. So I saw the press release and it was all about 2 guys start a fitness app and it's about running and this is how it works. And it's like, who cares? There's a million fitness apps out there. So instead, I was like, okay, so why did you start this app? Tell me more about you and this and that. And we found a really cool story. One of the founders is a personal trainer. So we started getting him quoted everywhere on anything that had to do with health and fitness. He was the expert who could lend a quote. And when we quoted him, we said his name, founder of the app. And then the app was hyperlinked. That's how they got the promotion. The other founder, there were 2 guys. The other founder used to weigh 400 pounds and now he weighed 200 pounds. And he did this through running. And that's how he started the app. So I'm like, that's the story we're going to tell. That's more exciting than another fitness app. So by making those 2 changes and by writing literally 5 or 6 sentences instead of a long, boring press release, we got them on TV in Washington, D.C., where they lived, in the Washington Post, Chicago Tribune, the Today Show, Runner's World, Women's Running, Men's Fitness, like all of these places in just 3 months.
Oh my goodness. That's incredible.
Amazing, right? And they didn't pay a dime for any of that. They just paid me to pitch them.
Right.
So stop thinking about promoting yourself and thinking about like a cool story that somebody would actually care to watch or read or listening to.
Right. Okay. Bottom line, you guys got it. Oh, I just love the way you talk. It's amazing.
My mom says I'm a little too blunt and I should nicen up my words.
Well,
I'm like,
everyone's different.
we only have so much time on the podcast.
Exactly.
I got to get it all out.
Yes, totally. Well, and I think it goes back to just your background and everything. Like you have to be to the point. I love that. That's amazing. And one thing that you said about the ads, because I know you'd mentioned before when we talked about how to grow without using ads and just online, I imagine, as, a business owner and just doing it organically. What are some of your tips in terms of that? And I feel like it goes along with what you're saying, just not trying to just promote yourself too. But what are some of your tips in that sense?
You have to make it timely. You have to give the journalist a reason to do this story now. So a lot of things that people do is they look at holidays and awareness days, like Mother's Day. Okay, so how can we relate this to Mother's Day? Or, I have a few local restaurant clients with my agency, and those food days are huge, like National Mac and Cheese Day, or even a Taco Tuesday, things like that. You can really capitalize on that because that gives the journalist a reason to do the story right now.
Okay.
So you want to give them a reason to do it now, or you're just going to be put on the back burner. And then this is the biggest mistake that I see people make after they get the coverage, is that they do nothing with it. They get quoted in Forbes and they're like, oh, cool, everybody's going to see it. Well, no, not everybody's going to see it because Forbes publishes about 400 things a day.
Right.
And not only that, but if somebody read it, 10 minutes later, they've already seen 3 other pieces of content. They've forgotten about you. So after you get any kind of media coverage, I call it doing PR on your PR. You need to take that media coverage and you need to share it on social media, put it in a queue. So you're sharing it over and over again, and you're tagging the journalist and you're tagging the outlet. And then you also need to be taking those logos and building a press page on your website or on your footer of your website saying as featured here, because that sets you apart from your competition.
Right.
Because there's people, I've been on so many podcasts. I've had so much media coverage over the last 4 years. But if you just found out about me today, then you're not going to know about all of that amazing coverage that I've earned the last 4 years. So I'm going to keep sharing it. So if you just find out about me today and then you look me up online and maybe you start following me on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, you're going to say, oh, look, she used to write for Inc. Or look, she was on Smart Passive Income twice. That's why you want to not just share it once, but consistently, like once every other month. I use an evergreen social media scheduler. So it's always popping up and I'm tagging people so they know that I'm sharing it and then they're sharing it again. And that's how you turn publicity into profit. Very rarely will you land some coverage and then your business just blows up.
Right.
You have to do the work after you land the coverage. You have to tell people about the coverage and keep reminding them, because people need to see things 7 or 8 times before they make a decision.
Just talk about it nonstop. Don't be afraid.
Exactly. You need to toot your own horn.
Yes. Oh, I love that so much, because that's when people tell me, how have you been able to grow the podcast? Because I'm not a known person. I don't have a background in anything. And I've been able to grow the podcast with just a message, but also with talking about it nonstop and no ads either. Of course, using my guests to promote as well and use their audience too. But I'm super excited about every single episode. I talk about it, the past ones, the future ones. And then that gets people, okay, what is she talking about? Let me go check this out. If you don't talk about it, no one's just going to go find it.
Yeah, exactly. And people, I think it's also a issue of people just not understanding how the media industry works. Like I've seen, and there's people who do what I do and they sell courses online and they'll tell you, I mean, it just makes me cringe, but they'll tell you, oh yeah, I'll make you famous. I'll get you in the media and make you famous. Like it doesn't work like that. I can't even tell you how much media coverage I have earned for myself and my ass is not famous. Okay. It does not work like that.
Oh my God.
I've been on TV thousands of times. I have a million backlinks. Like I've got a lot of coverage and I'm not famous. It doesn't work like that. So I think that's another thing people need to be mindful of is like anybody can say anything on the internet. Do not believe it just because it sounds good and you want to believe it. It doesn't work like that.
Yes. And it takes time too. I love that you're saying that and being so real too, because that's one of the things that people may think, oh, if I just land this one thing, then everything is going to blow up and it's going to be amazing. Not necessarily. You're just going to have to keep working at it.
Not at all. I mean, yes, it can happen, but it's rare. It's like going viral. It's like somebody teaching you about video and saying, I can teach you how to make viral videos.
Right.
Nobody can teach that. I'm sorry, but nobody can teach that. And like sometimes, like I had a client who was on Shark Tank. Obviously being on Shark Tank, it really helped his business.
Right.
That was one thing where like after that, he saw crazy orders for his product. I can tell you after I was on a couple of podcasts, I saw my email list like skyrocket. But you have to, those are rare occasions.
Right.
You have to be consistently getting media coverage in different places at different times. So when people want you and need you, you're going to be top of mind because you're being seen everywhere. That is how it's going to work for you 98% of the time.
Oh, these tips are so good. I love it so much, especially for me, because I really love learning about these things of, putting yourself out there and just sharing your message more. So I love this so much. I'm so excited that you're here telling us all the good stuff.
Well, I'm excited you invited me on. Thank you so much.
Yes, me too. So how can we find you?
You can find me. So my website is mediamavenandmore.com. And if people, I'm also on social media at Christina all day. You can find me on Instagram or Twitter, all the places.
Okay.
And then I have something for your audience that will teach them kind of how to do what we've been talking about, how to pitch the media. It's a 3-day video series. So day 1 is how to pitch the media. Day 2 is how to get publicity. And day 3 is how to turn that publicity into profit. And something that I really like about this is that I actually take you through everything through one of my clients' eyes. And I share the exact pitch, like word for word, that led to her getting coverage on TV that like snowballed into so much more for her. And I'm going to show you how we did it for her so you can do it for yourself. And you can get that at pitchpublicityprofit.com.
Okay. And I'll have those links in the show notes as well. And what kind of programs do you have if somebody is like, okay, I'm sold, Christina, I want to work with you?
Oh, well, thank you. I have an online course. It's called, very uniquely called the Media Mentoring Program.
Yes.
And pitching the media is something we get to pretty quickly. It's in module 2, but then I also teach you everything else that has to go along with it. We talk about, it's not just pitching and getting the coverage, but what you do after the coverage. Because remember, this isn't sales. This is marketing. This is getting you in front of people and getting the visibility. Yes. But like, what if you get all this visibility and people go to pull the trigger and buy something from you, but they're not converting? So like, I also take you through, okay, so this is how you actually convert. Okay. Like, what good is all of that attention if you're not making any money from it? So we take you through everything from start to finish. That is an online course that I provide. And then I also have an agency as well, which is, obviously another level up where my team works and gets you the publicity and you don't really have to lift a finger, but you can find out everything at mediamavenandmore.com.
Sounds amazing. Oh, this is great. Thank you so much, Christina. I love talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Seriously, I love all my guests, but I so admire people who tell it like it is, and Christina sure does. What an awesome interview. Don't forget to check out all her links in the show notes, connect with her on social media, and share the episode. Take a screenshot and tag us. Until next time, bye!